peace, and love. It's your host, Callie Divine, and welcome to the Sacred Sistahood Show. Today, we have a special episode that is sure to resonate with many of us as we tackle the important topic of building a positive body image in women. This is particularly pertinent in a society that constantly bombards us with unrealistic beauty standards and shameless body shaming. I'm thrilled to introduce our special guest for today, a professional therapist who has dedicated her life to helping people overcome personal challenges and cultivate self-love. As a woman and an expert in the field, I'm sure she'll have some valuable insights and advice to share with us. Ladies, get ready to embrace our bodies and celebrate the beauty that comes in all shapes, sizes, and hues. Together, we'll learn the tools and techniques needed to build a healthy relationship with our bodies and cultivate self-love that we all deserve. So grab your tea, get comfortable, and let's get into this powerful conversation. Welcome to the Sacred Sistahood Show. This sacred space is all about empowering women to achieve their best selves in all aspects of life. I'm your host, Callie Divine, and I'm so excited for our in-depth discussions about spirituality, mindfulness, and personal growth. Whether you're just starting your journey or looking to level up, the Sacred Sistahood Show is here to support you every step of the way. Our guest and I share our unique experiences and perspectives to help you unlock your hidden potential, tap into your inner goddess, and find your purpose in life. So sit back, grab a cup of tea or wine, and let's get ready for some good vibes and positive energy. Peace, family. Thank you for joining. Today we have such a dynamic discussion. Johneisha is going to drop some serious knowledge on us, and let's get into it. She's a licensed professional counselor, associate, a mental health superhero. I'm talking about none other than the amazing Johneisha Wooden. Johneisha graduated with a master's degree in mental health counseling, along with a certificate in marriage and family therapy from the University of South Florida in 2019. She's been providing mental health therapy to individuals, families, and couples across Florida and Texas since then. What's really impressive is that she serves individuals from all walks of life, from different cultures, identities, and backgrounds. But her passion lies in helping young adults find their way. If you need a telehealth therapeutic service, particularly if you're dealing with trauma, anxiety, family issues, or identity conflicts, then Johneisha, her private practice called Getting Rid of Old Ways, is the perfect fit for you. And if you're not in Texas, don't fret, because personal coaching services are also available for out-of-state residents as well. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I'm excited to be here, and honestly, I'm excited to talk about this topic because, it's very prevalent right now.
It's very important to me because, when you see, the images that they put on TV especially for young women to see, and then when I'm out in the neighborhood and I'm in the streets, I'm seeing all these young women trying to portray those images, and it's not necessarily healthy. So I wanted to break it down and talk about how we can build a more positive self-image that is not reflected in the media that we see today. But before we get into that, I want to just do a little icebreaker, just get to know you a little bit more personal. And to do that, we're going to spin the wheel. So let me just pull that up real quick. And yes, I'm gonna play a little game. Let me pull it up real quick. I thought I had it up already, but technical difficulties today. So all right, let's give it a spin. What do we have? Personal favorites. So let's see. Personal favorites. All right. So this is pretty simple. It's in the name of the title. I want you to share your favorite book currently, your favorite movie related to mental health.
What?
if you can think of it. I'm gonna give you literally a minute to gather your thoughts and get it together. Yeah. But all right, so your favorite
book, right? Your favorite
Okay.
movie, and what you do to keep yourself mentally, just like mentally and physically well, pretty much. What are some of your practice, like favorite things that you do to keep yourself mentally balanced? All
Okay.
right. So why you think I'm gonna put it on a 60-second pause? You got collect your thoughts, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Today's episode of the Sacred Sisterhood podcast is brought to you by Goddess Training Camp. Are you ready to tap into your inner strength and amplify your divine feminine energy? Join us at Goddess Training Camp, where we provide you with the tools and knowledge to unleash your full potential. It is designed to help you embody your authentic self and live your life to the fullest. Don't miss out on this opportunity to join a community of powerful women, elevate your spiritual practice, and unlock your true purpose. Enroll now at Goddess Training Camp. See you there. Peace.
Were you able to think of anything good? All right, your favorite book. What's your favorite book?
Favorite book. Okay, so my favorite book, I feel like it would be crazy to say that it wouldn't be my own book because I have written a book. It's just not published. So
Okay.
my book is called Passion, Pain, and Pleasure. So my favorite book would be my own.
All right, so well, tell me, what's it about? I'm curious now.
It's kind of it's a little like an autobiography, kind of like a tell-all about a girl that kind of grows up in an urban town, and then she's battling. Growing up in a single parenthood, she's battling sex, we're dealing with drugs, strip clubs, and just trying to navigate these different transitions that she goes through in life and still trying to overcome those. That's kind of what it is.
Nice. You gotta get that published because I'll be interested in actually reading that.
Yeah.
All right, and so next is your favorite movie?
So I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a big movie person.
Okay.
So that was probably the biggest question that I struggled with. So what I would say is I like reality TV shows, and probably a reality TV show that I do watch that I take a lot of mental health from would be like the Real Housewives of Potomac, Real Housewives of Atlanta, just because you see so much of that dynamic of what goes on in different black homes, in the way that our children are raised, in the way that we respond to each other as black women, how we associate with each other. So I think that's a lot.
Okay, nice. And I don't really watch those reality TV shows, but do you think a lot of that is like staged, or any of that is like kind of like dramatized?
I mean, some of it might be staged, but a lot of it hits home, especially when it comes to like the undiagnosed mental disorders, and where you can see cycles get brought up in how the girls are interacting with each other, what they're doing with their children, with their dating life, and how those are presented to their kids. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I never thought about it that way. That's true. That's very true. You can see a lot in those reality shows. And what was the next one? Okay, so what are some of your favorite practices to keep yourself physically and mentally well?
Favorite practices, mentally well, definitely it would have to be one, having my therapist. I'm a therapist myself, but listen, get you a therapist.
Amen. Amen to that.
So having my therapist really helps me. I also listen to mindset podcast every morning, like Monday through Friday. I've just kind of made it as a habit. I'll just sit there and I'll listen to something, and it kind of gets my day going.
Nice.
I've started praying a little bit more. Sometimes we fall off from things like that, so really kind of keeping that relationship open with God. And I started pole classes, so
nice.
That's kind of been helping me to, get back into the groove, still being able to stay physically fit without having to always go to the gym.
Right, that's fun. Always finding something fun that I like dancing in particular. I do dance videos all the time, so that's how I keep myself active, and that's one of my favorites as well.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the convo. So we're talking about ways that we can build positive self-images in women, especially in young women. But for my first question, since you're a therapist, and I'm 100% in agreement that therapy is very helpful, especially in identifying, certain things that you have been through, certain things that, just kind of unpacking your life, or the layers that you have kind of accumulated over time. So how do you think that therapy can play a role or be helpful in helping women develop a positive self-image?
Well, I think it can be very helpful. One thing I would like to point out is that therapy doesn't fix anybody.
Right.
Like, let's just get that straight. Therapy does not fix anyone. You can only fix yourself, and you're responsible for yourself. I think a lot of times what happens in therapy is that we come to therapy with these kind of unrealistic expectations. And so depending on the therapist that you have, they may have to kind of break that down to you. So there is kind of a point that I do want to break down and explain that will further, further broaden the understanding or deepen the understanding of why therapy can really play like a helpful role in helping women build a positive self-image. So first off, everything is going to start at home. Everything starts at home with the family and the household that we're raised in. And what we do know is that parents often use the tactic of kind of withdrawing their love when we're trying to get our child to be obedient. What they don't know is that when we are withdrawing the love, and sometimes that might look like, all right, I'm stonewalling my child, I'm not talking to them because they didn't clean their room, so until they clean their room, I'm not going to talk to them. Or, I'm not going to give them no hugs and kisses the way I know that they love their hugs and kisses because they had a bad day at school and, we got a bad report, so I'm not going to do those things. Parents just don't understand that those moments when they start to kind of withdraw that love, they're communicating to their child that, hey, I'm only lovable if I'm doing something. And so therefore we start to kind of wear these different shirts from childhood into adulthood. We may take a test and fail it. And when we fail that test, now I have on this identity that says I'm a failure. I might get into a relationship with somebody and the relationship fails. And so now I take on this shirt and identity that says I'm inadequate. I might get bullied in school. And so now I take on this identity that says I am worthless, right? And so all of these kind of experiences kind of build up and lead up into adulthood to where we are now wearing shirts that, one, were never ours to begin with, right? They were handed to us by somebody else. We're wearing shirts that no longer fit us and don't serve us, but yet we put them on every day and we continue them into adulthood. So now we're adults and we have these images that, man, I'm not lovable, I'm worthless, I'm this and that, or I have to do all these things to get love. So with that, therapy really helps to just kind of build that resilience. So that way, okay, we are discovering, once you're starting to get these skills, you're discovering my wounds, you're discovering your triggers. And so you're able to kind of address these things. So that way, when you step out into society, you no longer kind of need like that validation from them that says I'm whole or I am this, because you have already worked through that and you kind of unpacked and kind of identified all these shirts that we've been wearing for years. And I can take that off and say, I am this. I am me.
That's important to first identify and be self-aware that the thoughts that you have accumulated or that you're feeling now is not really, yours to begin with, because you've been molded to think a certain way from childhood. So that helped me a lot, just becoming self-aware of where that idea even came from in the first place, why I feel the way that I do in the first place, and where it developed. A lot of times it is during childhood.
Right.
So speaking of that, like, what type of strategies do you kind of recommend for women to help them to stop negatively, like negative self-talk and like, things like body shaming and seeing like themselves as less than? What type of strategies would you say to help them?
Strategies I would recommend, one I would say is, so if we are constantly on our phones, right? There's just the day and age that we live in. We constantly have a handheld on our phone, and just naturally without thinking about it, I pick up my phone, I'm probably Instagram, scrolling. Facebook. So, so we don't really have much of a choice of what's being broadcasted to us every day in a way. One thing I would recommend is follow someone that kind of has that maybe similar body type as yours, that has that mindset that you would like to bring into, right? Because when we talk about body positivity, it's not just my weight or what my body figure. It's my hair, it's my skin, it's my skin tone, it's my eye color. All of these make up the body. So find people that look realistic like you and say, you know what? She have broad shoulders like I do, and I love how she always wears something that accessorizes like me. I also have broad shoulders, but you know, I'm showing them off, baby. They here, popping. You know. So find someone that has that look that you also have. I think sometimes we will get on social media and then we follow and we see these celebrities, these people that have had all these different things done to their body, and then we start to compare ourselves to them.
Absolutely.
And comparison only leaves you feeling jealous. It leaves you feeling like you lack something, like you're without. So if we kind of present ourselves and we have these people that are able to represent and I look that is really achievable for me, that helps. Also involving yourself in activities that make you feel good about yourself. Earlier I mentioned to you during the spin wheel thing. Earlier, I mentioned to you that I started taking a pole class. And honestly, my inspiration for me taking the pole class was one of my line sisters she was in a 5-year relationship. She's a full-figured woman, you know, small waist with full-figured hips and everything. And they were together for 5 years. The relationship ended. And next thing I know, my girl was taking pole classes and she made a whole different Instagram and got herself a little different Instagram name where she posts her videos and things like that. And that inspired me to say, you know what? Let me go take some pole classes. I want to feel, you know, sexy, and I want to feel all these different things because I don't always feel like that, you know? So seeing her step outside her comfort zone and do something that probably everyone else might look at and be like, like, why you confident? You flipping upside down the pole? What? You know, seeing her do something like that gave me the courage to be like, you know what? Let me go ahead and take me some pole classes too.
Nice.
You know, so involve yourself in things that's going to make you feel better. And along with involving yourself in things that's going to make you feel good, you got to have that support and community around you. That means you need to have a network of friends, family that are people that are not only going to lift you up, but they're going to hold you accountable for the things that you're doing, the things that you shouldn't be doing.
That's true. Accountability is a must. Now, we already talked about, like, you know, some of the things that challenge our women, you know, and you know, stopping them from creating a healthy and positive body image, such as, you know, the stuff that they see on TV. It's like they don't know what is wrong from right because they think that, you know, what is being shown to them is something that they should embrace. But can you think of any other challenges that hinder us?
Okay. Well, there's a couple challenges to that. It's like, where do I start?
Oh, really?
So, yes. So first off, let's start with the culture, right? The culture in which you are raised in. So whether it was a Western or European culture, if you came from like a culture of Hinduism, or, you know, you came from the Caribbean culture, like your culture heavily affects how you kind of see yourself and what kind of image you portray yourself to be when you look at yourself in the mirror. So along with the culture, right, because the culture is going to play a heavy influence, we also have, and it goes back down to it, our family and our parental values. And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to blame the parents. The reason why I'm going to blame parents is because as a kid, you don't know anything about your weight. Like, your parents have the responsibility to growing you up to be the best that you can possibly be. And then once you get to a certain age and a certain standpoint mentally, that responsibility then transfers over to you. What happens is, a lot of times, is that the homes that we're raised in, right, like, they're not cooking the best food. When we think of soul food, what's one of the things you think of?
I think of mac and cheese, fried chicken, yams, all the collard greens.
Some fried food, some macaroni and cheese, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But like in the soul food, there's nothing there that says, okay, let me be health conscious and take care of myself. And we know health is wealth, right? We can even go to Hispanic cultures. One of the things that they commonly eat, and with my clients, I'll ask them, hey, what you have for breakfast? You know, just tell me what you have for breakfast. Oh, some tortillas with some beans, and you know. So a lot of times the homes that we are raised in doesn't cultivate us to grow up and have a healthy and positive mindset of ourselves. Even and I can testify to some clients that I have had that I do have now that tell me that their parents do call them fat. They do call them ugly. They call them stupid. And these kids believe it. Why wouldn't they? Like, why wouldn't I believe it? The one who's supposed to love me is telling me these things. So now I'm growing up and now I have this belief system that I'm fat, I'm ugly. Well, I see everyone else in my family eating fried food and not really taking care of themselves. And it just seems normal and natural. So why do anything about it? Like, why do anything about it? Why should I do anything different when I do have kids? So that is a big barrier that I commonly see, and it's still a barrier now. Also, undiagnosed mental health disorders is very, very prevalent. We know that Blacks have the highest rate of undiagnosed of major depressive disorder, and one of the symptoms for major depressive disorder is overeating or undereating. And so not only are Blacks highest in that, Hispanics also second ranked. And then who are second ranked and first ranked when it comes to obesity? It is Blacks and it hit Hispanics. So our self-esteem is heavily guarded in there with the body image that we perceive ourselves. Like you said, the messages portrayed in the media, we have women that often compare themselves to what they feel is ideal and successful at that time. We also have abuse and trauma because that can show up in our body and it affects the way that we see ourselves. And then also puberty. Puberty changes, our body and what we go through. So there's a lot of challenges that we face when it comes to being able to develop a healthy body image and being able to maintain a positive self-image.
Now, we did address some of that culture plays a big role, but what about some of the societal expectations? How does that impact women and how they see their bodies?
The societal expectations aren't going anywhere. And honestly, it is what it is. If we're just being honest about it, it is what it is. When we look at women, what has been valued years and years and years, I mean, going back to ancient Egypt, has been physical attractiveness and beauty. And it has, the standard of beauty has changed so much over time. So we have physical attractiveness and then the traits associated with physical attractiveness as most valued in women. But what do you think is probably the most valued in men? I can tell you right now, it ain't physical attraction.
Right? Well, I already know. Right.
It's not physical attraction. It's that financial support. It's that honesty and morality, right? Because for a man, being physically attractive isn't really going to get them that much.
That's true.
Right? But for women, we actually benefit from being physically attractive. So over the years, what has happened is women experience more pressure from society with being physically attractive, and men just experience more pressures with being financially supportive. It's just a gender struggle. And so that's just the struggle that we have. It's kind of a double-edged sword there.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense to think that women have kind of been like conditioned over the years to kind of just conform to what society wants, what society sees as physically attractive, because it does mean something so much to us. It weighs a lot for us as women.
So you said that's not going anywhere. There's no way we could change that.
It's not going anywhere. But one of the challenges, though, I would like to mention when it comes to Black women is that our standard of beauty hasn't been defined. Our standard of beauty has often been compared to the European standards, and our own actual standards and how we really look has been rejected and devalued by mainstream society. I mean, if we think about the European standards, for years growing up, we may see a child that's representative of a Black child, but how do they look?
Of course.
Fairer
light skin. Yep, light skin.
Curly hair. And so then, and this is what we see over time, and then you wonder why Blacks grow up and think, I'm a little too dark. Let me start bleaching my skin. That's very common in the Caribbean. Let me get some bleach soap. Very common. Let me texturize my hair to make it a little bit more curly and soft. Right, because what I'm seeing in the media says that is what I should look like, and if I look like this, then this isn't okay. So for Blacks, what we need to do as women is start to decide what is the standard in the terms of beauty for us, for me as my own person, and then start being able to accept that for ourselves, so that
and embrace it.
we're not succumbing to the pressures of society to conform to what they feel is the beauty. We could just do what we feel is good for us.
And embrace it and just be okay, and not have to worry about, any other people's opinions, because they really don't matter, right? They never matter. So we already talked about like some of your favorite self-care activities to keep yourself mentally and physically well. I mentioned that I like dancing. You picked up a new hobby of pole dancing, which is nice. I always thought that was pretty exciting, but I don't think I have the strength to be spinning around like that. So it's something I have to practice and work on and build the muscle strength. But what other
I like that you said that it would be something that you would have to work on and build the muscle strength, because that speaks on the mindset when it comes to a lot of the things that we have to do in order to be able to have the positive body image, right? It starts with the mind. So we can look at it and be like, man, getting on the pole first, I gotta stretch. I gotta probably do a little bit of conditioning. Then I'm gonna have to hold the pole. I'm gonna have to try to pull myself up. You can sit there and look at all of the obligations that you're gonna have to go through, or you can sit there and look at it as an opportunity that, you know what? Once I finish this pole class, by the end of this pole class, I'm going to be swinging and whipping it around. I'm going to have me a little girls' night at my house. I'm going to be stronger. I'm going to feel more confident about myself. I'm going to know that I can go out and do a dance routine. So it's all about how you look at it, and it's about the mindset.
Absolutely about the mindset. And I've been, in the mindset of chasing instant gratification for the longest, until I just finally realized it's not about that. What we really want doesn't come, right away. It takes time to develop that.
Exactly.
So, but I wanted to ask you, what other types of self-care activities would you recommend to help us kind of start to see ourselves in a better way?
Other self-care activities. So when we mention self-care, let's kind of break that down, because I feel like self-care is used a little loosely. Okay. So self-care, if we actually Google what the definition is actually taking an active role in one's own well-being and their health. I think a lot of people kind of miss that active piece, because we seek comfort rather than discomfort, right? A lot of times we don't want to get uncomfortable. So if I'm doing anything that's self-care and I'm unhealed, it's probably not the best thing for me, right? Because doing what's easy feels okay. It feels comfortable because I know what the results are. I know what's going to happen. But doing what's harder is really what's going to get me those greater results.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to self-care, I would say one of the things that you would really need to work on is that mindset, because happiness is a state of mind. Body positivity is a state of mind. What was the question?
So different activities, but before you even answer that, I wanted to ask you, like, we talk about mindset a lot. How do you start to shift that? How do you start to change your perspectives? If you've been thinking a certain way for so long, how do you start to break out of that old mindset and start thinking more positively?
Breaking out of that mindset to start thinking more positively. It's a choice. One, because you're going to have influences from your family and from your culture that support that, and it's going to make it very hard. But you have to decide that, hey, maybe everything that I was taught as a child growing up wasn't always the best. Maybe it doesn't have to stick with me. Maybe I don't have to continue to do certain things. So when you start to question like your growth and whether or not, things are really how they should be, that should be your urge and itch that, maybe I should start doing something different, right? Because confidence is as a mindset, it's a state of a mindset. You can just wake up and choose to be confident, but confidence really grows from having results. So when I sit out and I take the time to do something that's going to make me a little bit uncomfortable, when I get the results, I'm going to feel confident that, okay, I can do this, and I can do it again, and I can do something else. Now I can go to the gym. Before I started out the gym, and I probably was only able to bench 50 pounds, and after I keep going to the gym, I keep benching that 50. I mean, I'm keep working on my mindset. I'm doing the things that I need to do. I'm noticing if I'm having any negative thoughts, I'm not continuing those negative thoughts and letting them fluster and ruminate. So when you're going to the gym and I'm lifting those weights, I'm lifting those 100 pounds, and even outside of the gym, I'm also doing work. I'm eating healthy. I'm talking positively to myself, because we can be very negative to ourselves. I'm talking positively to myself and making sure that the people around me are also pouring into me just as much as I'm pouring into them. These are all things that we need to do to be able to change your mindset. Focus on what you need to do every single day to get to where you want to be. People tend to focus on the big picture, and they scare themselves out of even doing anything at all. They become inactive. They become demotivated. When you focus on everything, it's like, whoa, wait a minute.
Too much. I'm overwhelmed.
Right. But when I sit here and I just focus on, okay, well, what can I do today to get to where I want to be? Like, what do I just need to get done today? Okay, well, make me a little smoothie. Make sure I go over my notes. And as long as I know when I go to sleep at night, I'm 10% better than I was yesterday, then that's good enough for me. Because I know I just keep adding in that 10% every day, 10% every day. And eventually, I'm going to look back 6 months and be like,
I did all that.
I've grown so much. I don't even recognize myself when I look in the mirror.
No, that's good advice. That's great advice. And I wish I would have heard that when I was a little bit younger, because I'm guilty of, just being so overwhelmed by just the sheer thought of having to accomplish such big goals that I had at the time, that I just threw it away. And that kind of contributes to the cycle of, it starts like depression, it starts, anxiety, it contributes to that downward spiral. And I've been guilty of, falling into that for the longest. But I say my motto is just show up, do the work, and take it one day at a time. Literally,
take it one day at a time. Yeah.
Yep, and then you look back 6 months later, like you said, and you'll see how far that you've really come just by showing up and being consistent.
And with that, comparing yourself only to yourself, right? So not comparing myself to who I seen on Instagram, not comparing myself to someone at my job, not comparing my relationship to another person's relationship. I'm only comparing myself to who I was yesterday. So I just need to make sure that every day when I go to sleep, I'm better than who I was yesterday. Every day when I go to sleep and I look at my bank account, okay, I got a little bit more money in my bank account today than I did 6 months ago. When I look in the mirror, all right, I look better today than I did 3 weeks ago. That's it. That's it.
That's very, very great advice. Now, to circle back to that question before I kind of interjected, we were talking about different self-care activities, and you broke down the term self-care, and I just wanted to kind of get deeper into different things, such as I used to journal a lot. I still do. I journal a lot, and that helped me to kind of become self-aware and more in tune with my inner self. And so are there any other tools or activities that women can start to incorporate into their routine to help them?
As far as self-care? Well, I think that's the amazing thing about self-care, is that self-care is almost kind of like coping skills. And there's so many things that you can turn and make it into a positive experience that it can be self-care. Like you said, journaling is one of them. For me, sometimes just going on the beach and taking a walk, because my office was right by the beach. So if I had a rough morning, I'm just going on the beach and I'm finding different little positive affirmations, and I'll write them in the sand, because in my head, I'm like, well, someone else will see it and it'll probably make their day. But for me, it's just, stressful even for me to just kind of draw my fingers in the sand and write a few things. I think the only advice that I really can give, is you have to make that decision of, what are the things that I have done that really kind of pour into me, and what are things that I've done that has left me feeling not my best. There's no need to reinvent the wheel, right? And getting your nails done, yes, ladies, that's self-care, but that ain't really self-care. Yes, we want to take those moments to love and pamper ourselves, but the same way that we're pampering our physical body, right, you want to treat your mental health the same way. So fine, if you need to talk to someone, go talk to someone. If you need medication, don't shy away from it. Go get you a psychiatrist and go get on medication. There's so many different things, and all those are included in self-care because it's a part of your well-being. It's a part of just keeping yourself alive, because we want to live long. We want to see our grandchildren, right? We want to increase our energy. So you have to step outside of the box and do some research on what really fits you.
Absolutely. So This is a very powerful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, and I definitely got some key advice, and I hope our audience appreciated it as much as I did. But I want you to just tell everybody really quick where we can find you on social media.
Okay, all right. Well, y'all can find me on Instagram. My Instagram is GrowPLLC. So that's GROWPLLC. That's also my TikTok as well. So you can go on my TikTok. I post weekly videos called Grow in 60 Seconds, where I just give a quick little tip on how we can grow this week. So yeah, you can find me on Instagram. You can also find me on TikTok, and then you will find all of my information to my website as well.
Nice. And I definitely checked out your TikTok, and I do like your videos. Are pretty dope.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It was amazing talking to you. Is there any references, any type of resources that you can recommend for people seeking to speak with a therapist or find some help regarding mental health at all?
Yeah, so you can always call 211. 211 is a national line, so normally if you do call that line, they are able to recommend you with mental health providers in your area.
Okay.
Also, if you want to check out Psychology Today, and I'm also on Psychology Today as well. You can go on Psychology Today's website, and you can also look for therapists that are specifically in your area. And not only specifically in your area, you can specify by sex, you can specify by race. So if you're looking specifically for a Black female therapist, if you need someone who's a male therapist, you can go on there and specify exactly what you want, and take your time and look and see who fits you. Because not every therapist is right for every client.
Absolutely not. Nope. And I can vouch for that. I went through a few, but I found a good one. Yeah, but thank you so much for sharing, and let's stay in touch.